Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this evening's Wanderlust special event, where we're going to be transporting you to Estonia. And really looking forward to this one. I've never been lucky enough to visit Estonia myself, and but really want to. And I know I'm going to want to even more after this evening's event, because we're going to be talking about Tallinn. And of course, there's so much more to Tallinn even than people realise. But we're also going to be going beyond Tallinn and into the nature and the countryside. We're also hopefully going to be talking a bit about the food, because Estonia's got an amazing food scene. So really looking forward to this. So welcome. Make yourself comfortable. I hope you've all got a drink at hand. Lovely to see you all in the chat box as well. Good evening, Peter in wet Bowden. Yes, it's been wet down south today as well. To Colin in Bournemouth, and Rebecca in Manchester. Oh, Julia, it's raining as well where you are in Lancashire. Cloudy Kent. I know, what's happened to this heat wave we were supposed to be having? Oh, it's all in Norwich apparently. So lucky old Roy in sunny Norwich. And Michael in Exeter, Lucy in Montenegro. So do you live there, or are you away on holiday at the moment? Oh, somebody in Ukraine. I've just missed who that was, but I'll have to look back and see who's in Ukraine. To Amanda in Bourneville, famous of course for the chocolate. Mary in Dublin, welcome. Julia's in Ukraine, so special welcome to Julia tonight. Graham at Burnley, great to have you all on here. Cliff in Worcester Park, James in the Scottish Borders, Vivian in Stratford-on-Avon. Obviously, too many people to mention, but do let us know where you are. And good to see people from around the world. We've got Christian in Denmark, who says he enjoyed cycling the islands of Estonia's west coast. So, Christian, I hope you're going to share some tips if you have some in the chat box tonight. And hello to Alison all the way from California. I bet it's sunny there. Martin in Essex, and somebody in Glasgow hasn't given a Christian name. Julie says, sitting in our camper in Pilapalu, going to Tallinn tomorrow. Oh, gosh. So there we go. We're getting live reports from Estonia, which is really good to hear. Hello to Margaret, who's up in Yorkshire, and Nicola. Nicola and Graham and Harrogate, so also up that way. Hillary in Florida, USA, welcome. And Garen in London, Elaine in sunny Reigate, and John in Windsor, which of course is where I am as well. Lovely Windsor, one of the best places in the UK. Fiona in Cardiff, Oleg in California. See, we cover the world. Glenn in Guildford, Linda in sunny Rottingdean. Yorkshire's getting a real showing this evening. Roberta's in Baltimore and Maryland. Welcome. And that was fascinating. Kelly in Edinburgh, William in Dallas. So yes, we seem to have quite a strong contingent from over the pond this evening. So welcome to all our friends from overseas. Steve in Cambridgeshire, and Sally and Tony in Simmons Yat, another one of the most beautiful parts of the British Isles. So absolutely, even if it's grey there at the moment. Laura in Arizona, welcome. Right, Lucia, you say you're working remotely in Ukraine, so welcome. To Byron in Denver, Carmen in Malta, and Susan in Florida. So yes, as you can see, really, Veronica's got to go on further. She's in Argentina. So fantastic. We really are going out around the world tonight. Barbara in Portugal, Katri in Tallinn. Robert says he's been to Estonia twice. I'm going to read that again in a moment. Stuart in Alberta. So fantastic. So like I say, I hope you're all comfy. I hope you've got a drink to hand. We're going to be talking for a good hour or so. Finishing with some questions as ever, and we will of course be doing a follow-up email as well with a recording of the event and any of the details from this evening that you need to know. So don't panic if you do have to leave at any point. Right, so what is going to happen this evening? Well, in a moment we're going to have a very special welcome from the ambassador of Estonia to the UK, Mr. Viljar Luby. So he will be saying hello in a moment. He does sadly then have to leave this evening. Obviously, as we can appreciate, he's a very busy man and much in demand. But having met him before over some wonderful Estonian food, he is passionate about his country, and I knew we just had to have him join us tonight. So that will be in a moment. And we are then going to hear from Wanderlust's very own Rosie Fitzgerald, our special features editor, who works across the magazine, the website, and our social channels. She co-hosts the new Wanderlust podcast series, Off the Page, with me. So I hope you've all been tuning to that. Rosie's recently returned from a visit to Estonia. I was so jealous, wasn't I, Rosie? And I know she's absolutely fallen in love with it. So she's going to be telling us all about that. We're also going to be hearing from Sander Leuter. Now, very excited about Sander joining us. Sander's a TV presenter who works for Estonian Public Broadcasting as an environmental and natural history presenter. And so he presents ETV's long-standing environmental and nature TV show called Assume as a host and co-producer. And having spoken to Sander before, I know we're in for a real treat with that, because of course Estonia's got some wonderful nature. And we'll be following those talks by, of course, with a Q&A as ever. So do send your questions in during the evening into the chat box, or you can save them up for the end. But we will have a full Q&A session in which we'll be joined by Jana and Kadri from Visit Estonia. And and they are just fonts of knowledge, and again, so passionate about their country. But as I know how busy the ambassador is, why don't we kick off? And why don't you welcome this evening?
Thank you so much. Can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes, all good.
Excellent. Because I don't exactly see what the positioning is. Talking about travel, I think, this is something where we should be the old-fashioned traditionalists. So actually visit the country, because these kind of, let's say, electronic things, they don't work. Although Estonia is all about e-solutions, but I don't think it works. And I'm myself a very passionate traveler. So I just counted, I have traveled to 128 countries. So there's still a lot to cover. But, why you visit Estonia, right? For me, it's a no-brainer, but I think, today's event is mostly about, why do you visit Estonia? Let's start with the obvious ones. I'm in London right now. If I look outside, it's not too bad. It's about maybe 20 degrees. In Tallinn, in Estonia, it's 30. So why go south, go north? This one. So people always want the nice weather, right? It seems that, being in latitude 59 or similar, it doesn't matter anymore. It's still going to be warm. Second, not everybody wants warmth only. You want, obviously, to see something. Tallinn is a jewel of medieval, let's say, beauty, and way beyond also. So this is a combination of new and old. Estonia, as you know, is very tech. So that if you want to go and have a nice city break, then Tallinn is the place to start with. Obviously, next thing is, people just don't want to go there and see around. They want to sit down and enjoy their meals. So again, Estonia is a perfect place to go. Estonia just last month became the first post-Soviet country. I don't usually like the term post-Soviet, but right now it's relevant. That also got awarded for the, let's say, its culinary achievements. And you can find Michelin star restaurants in Estonia. We knew that the food is excellent in Estonia already before, but now also a third party has verified that. And it's all about, food is becoming so important. I know that my colleague from Enter Estonia will tell you that, this is the first, second, or third reason why people travel. So food. Thirdly, people don't always want to be in the country or in the city. They want to go to the countryside. Me being in London, to get to countryside, it takes me minimum 2 hours. In Estonia, you go half an hour, you're in the nature. And usually if you come from a crowded place like London, India, China, wherever, then half an hour driving outside Tallinn, you discover yourself in a disaster movie. No people, no cars, just you and nature. I think many people like it, at least I do. And thirdly, as people are so, let's say, busy all the time, people want to see and discover everything, let's say, at once. So if you really think that Estonia is not, enough for you, you can easily, go to other countries also from Estonia. So it's an excellent hub. You have a city breaks that, have a day trip from Tallinn to Helsinki after spending a week in Estonia. So I don't know, hopefully covered mostly. I think Estonia is a perfect place to visit. And the thing is that we don't always need the numbers. Estonia before COVID, I don't know the very recent numbers, before COVID, Estonia had 3 million plus visitors, foreign visitors a year. Given the country of 1.3 million, more than double your population, it's a very big number. So I think we don't even need the masses, but we need exactly the people who want to come, who want to experience that, who want to get the experience and go further than just Tallinn. So I think it's people like you who know how this business works that you can make it happen. And me in London and all my colleagues around the world are more than happy to help whenever needed. So I'm extremely pleased to Lotus, thank you Lotus and others that you're organizing this event. I think it's very, very important. And I think we have to go back to traditional traveling, because seeing around makes you better person. I think all what we see, the hatred and so on, and globally, it's only because people stay within their own borders. Go around, explore, and it makes you a better person. I stop here if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. I think that was a great way to start it, and really gave us a lovely overview. Before you dash off, if you were going to recommend one experience that anybody visiting your country should do, what would it be?
I give you one I already said. When I was ambassador to India, the thing is that sometimes people admire things that locals, Estonians in Estonia, don't even see. One was what they said about that you drive outside Tallinn, half an hour, and then you discover, you're middle of nowhere, meaning no cars, no people, where am I? Second thing was during the winter, when I was in India, many of my Indian friends and colleagues and ministers who have been to Estonia during the winter, they really were amazed by the fact that actually sea freezes and cars are driving on ice. For them, it was something like, this is unbelievable. For Estonians, it's normal, it's ordinary. But it seems that, you sometimes you don't value the things you have, and maybe you should be, I think tourism is all about storytelling, and it's all about people telling stories to each other, and that's why traveling is so exciting.
Yeah, no, actually, no, you're absolutely right. And yes, and we all going to take different things from it. And actually, even as British, and even though we get cold weather, we don't get to drive on ice. So, no, incredible. Okay, well, thank you so much. And thank
you so much. Enjoy the event. Ask all the difficult questions. And most importantly, please visit the country when you come back. And then, contact the embassy wherever you are and tell your story. We will offer you some coffee as well.
Brilliant. Okay, cheers. Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Right. Well, that was the brilliant ambassador, Mr. Viljar Luby, who's based in London, and as you can see, very, very really is an ambassador in so many ways for Estonia. So, to move on then to our first presentation, I'd like to welcome back Rosie Fitzgerald, Wanderlust Special Features Editor, who, as I mentioned, has recently been to Estonia. And, Rosie, it sounds like you had an amazing time, even more so than you were anticipating.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you to it then. And let's transport us there.
Great. So hi, everyone. As Lynn mentioned at the start, I was very lucky to visit Estonia in May, and I really did have the most wonderful and surprising time. And I can't wait to tell you all about it this evening. But before we get started, if we just take a look at this map of Estonia here, you'll see that Estonia is the most northerly Baltic nation. And during my time in Estonia, I was there for about a week. I spent most of my time in Tallinn, in the capital, and the surrounding areas of that northern region there, in the surrounding nature. But Estonia is a very small country, and it's very compact, which makes it very easy for getting around. So while I only explored the capital and the north, you know, you can get from one corner of the country to the other literally in a matter of 2 hours. So very easy to get around and to see a lot of the country in one go. And it may be small, but that doesn't mean there's not a lot going on, because, you know, the culture, the history, the vast natural landscapes and the food all means there's so much to see and do on a visit to Estonia. So the capital city of Tallinn is a very good place to start any trip to Estonia. Direct flights go from London to Tallinn, and my first surprise came pretty much as soon as I landed. So I got off the plane, got in a taxi, and honestly, less than 15 minutes later, I was standing in the middle of the old town, which I think must be the quickest kind of journey time I've ever had from the airport into the city there. And what a old town it is. So Tallinn's old town is one of the best preserved old towns in all of Europe. It's UNESCO listed, and it's just such a joy to explore the cobbled streets, which date back to the 13th century, on foot. And along your way, you'll, you know, be delighted to see centuries old architecture. You'll see the churches, the old guilds, just so much going on to see here. What I'd really recommend is a wander down St. Catherine's Passage. So this is really one of the best preserved streets in the old town. And it's also home to St. Catherine's Guild, which you can see on this left-hand photo here. Super interesting place full of incredible stories of women. And even today, you go inside there and you can watch artists creating things such as glassware, jewelry, ceramics, using traditional methods that go back generations. So definitely worth poking your head in there. Another personal highlight of mine of the old town was the town hall pharmacy. So this is actually the oldest pharmacy in Europe that's continuously operated in the same premises. And it was actually first mentioned in the town records as early as 1422. And a look inside here is absolutely fascinating. You've got this mix of the old and the new, because you can still kind of buy products over the counter here today. So there's a small exhibit where you can look around and see the kind of funny and quirky treatments they used to use to cure people, and you've got the modern there as well. And if you look at that picture there through the window, you can see the old town hall. So if you get out in front of the old town hall, you can find this plaque on the floor, which marks the centre of Tallinn. And from this spot, if you look around, you can see all 5 steeples of Estonia, or at least you used to be able to. So this church on the right here is St. Olaf's Church. And back in the 16th century, 17th century, its steeple was so high that the building was 159 meters, making it the tallest in the world. Perhaps unsurprisingly, that means it got struck by lightning around 10 times. 3 of those led to big fires. So you can't blame them for building it back a little bit smaller the next time round. So while you can't see it from that center point anymore, you can go up to the viewing platform and get an extraordinary view all across the old town. But if it is a view of the old town that you are searching for, little beats the view from Tompi Hill. So if you climb up this hill here, you get 2 viewing platforms. This is the view from the northern viewing platform, and you just get this incredible scene over those lovely red tiled roofs. You've got the green belt there, the church, and then you can see as far back as the Gulf of Finland. So definitely worth making the climb up there with your camera to get that lovely iconic shot. But also worth mentioning, Tallinn isn't all about the past. And And especially in more recent years, the city has been busy regenerating some of its neighbourhoods. So this is one of my favourite places that I visited while I was in Estonia. It's called Telliskivi Creative City, and it is just the most incredible place. So in the Soviet days, this area was very much an industrial area where train locomotives were taken to be repaired. And then it was pretty much left abandoned and was literally just an industrial wasteland. That was until the end of 2007 when work started to turn it into what it is today. And incredibly, less than 2 years later, in 2009, the first ever tenant moved in. And today, just 15 years later, it's absolutely mind-boggling to see what it's become today. It's just the most vibrant, colourful, creative, energetic, atmospheric place in the city. And it really is this hipster heart of the capital, and it's actually the biggest artistic hub in the country. So yeah, super fun to sit outside one of those trendy restaurants there and watch the world go by. You'll see people whizzing past on electric scooters. You'll hear live music. You can see many kind of street art pieces. Chances are there'll be an event going on here as well, as they put on a huge number of events every year. And wherever you are in Telliskivi, you're bound to see these beautiful, colourful murals splashed across the walls. So one of the best ways to see these is on a guided street art tour, which will tell you a little bit more about the meanings behind some of these pieces and the artists who created those as well. In the last image I showed, you could see the Photographic Museum, also an incredible place for art lovers to go. This houses an international photography exhibit, and it's a little bit different from your average art museum. It's quite unique, a bit casual in a way, and as well as the exhibits, they have events on there, so definitely worth checking that out as well. So with a similar regeneration story is the nearby Baltic Station Market. Again, this has just had new life breathed into it. So it now spans 3 floors, covering almost 300 traders. So you can really just get lost in these colourful, lively halls filled with vegetables. There's a meat hall, a fish hall, as well as things such as clothing and crafts as well there. So definitely worth a look around that one. So similarly to Telliskivi, another area that has seen a rapid amount of change is the Noblessner Seafront Quarter. So this actually used to be a submarine shipyard, and this is now one of the fastest developing areas in Tallinn. And even when I was there in May, there was so much going on. There was people kind of working on new buildings, and at one point a taxi driver couldn't find me because where I was standing literally wasn't really even on the map yet. So that's how new and exciting it is there. And I guarantee if you went this year and went back in a couple of years, there'll be more exciting and interesting stuff to see there that isn't already there. So on the right hand side of this picture, you can see the Kai art centre, so that kind of holds art exhibits and movie screenings. Nearby this, you've also got the Proto Invention factory. Again, this has taken an old building and repurposed it and made it into this super cool museum with virtual reality headsets. So yeah, really good to see what's going on here. And really, it's just a lovely area to be of an evening. I stayed really, really close to here one evening, and yeah, just to walk up this bustling street. There's nice bars, restaurants, and it's a great place to grab a drink and watch the sun go down over that gorgeous harbour as well. So I also wanted to show you this picture because I think it shows quite well how drastic the change and how exciting the change is that's been going on here. So this is in the Noblessner Seafront Quarter, and it's next door to the Pajala Tap Room and Brewery. So the Pajala Tap Room and Brewery moved into the Noblessner area in 2018. And before they moved in, the building they moved into very much would have looked like this one. And now it looks like this. So you can just see that kind of creative energy and that forward thinking and the enthusiasm that's gone into this area to make it this kind of beautiful, bustling, creative community that it is today. And this is something that's happening all across Tallinn. So definitely worth getting out into those neighborhoods and speaking to the people. There's lots of like young entrepreneurs, whether they're, you know, business owners or chefs, and lots of people out to talk to who are really excited about what's going on in these neighborhoods. But creativity in Estonia isn't just reserved for the neighborhoods. And the food scene here is also incredibly innovative, creative, fresh and incredible. So while I was in Estonia, the first ever Michelin Guide Estonia was released, which put 31 Estonian restaurants in its recommended guide. 2 of those actually received Michelin stars, so 180 degrees, and then Noah Chef's Hall as well. While I didn't eat at either of those, I did get to sample a lot of the Michelin recommended restaurants, and everything was just absolutely delicious. So back in the Noblessner Seafront Quarter, I had a brilliant lunch at L'Or Bistro. So this was awarded a Bib Gourmand award from Michelin for its great food at reasonable prices. And we went here one lunchtime and we just ate and ate and ate for hours. And the food, you know, true to Estonia, was incredibly fresh, locally sourced ingredients. So we had things like leeks smothered in cashew sauce. We had a trout sashimi. We had a halibut in a mascarpone sauce and a brilliant passion fruit panna cotta. So when you think you can't fit any more in, this incredible food just kept coming. So as well as the Bib Gourmand Award, L'Or Bistro's, one of L'Or Bistro's chefs was also awarded a Michelin Young Chef Award. So definitely a great place to check out if you're ever in Tallinn and in that Noblessner Seafront Quarter. So back in Telliskivi, so this restaurant is on the roof of the Photographic Museum, the Photographic restaurant, and this was also recognised by Michelin and picked up a green Michelin star for its zero waste and eco-friendly approach to cooking. So I tried lots of things on this menu as well, but one of the most interesting and fun things I tried was this red onion, which is literally baked in a ceramic pot of compost and then served in a cheese sauce. So you can see the kind of before and after effect of that in that top picture there, and just shows the kind of creativity and the fresh takes on traditional food that's going on right across Tallinn and the rest of Estonia as well. A great place for vegetarians. The local mushrooms are absolutely delicious. So as well as the great food, you've also got incredible views from the rooftop location across the old town, and the service there is super fun and really good as well. But it isn't just the capital city where the food scene is so exciting, and all across Estonia, the food scene is worth seeking out, which is what I found out on a wonderful day trip to Pilapalu Forest Retreat. So this retreat takes less than an hour by car to get to from Tallinn, and you really are left in the middle of this forest. So the retreat is run by Robin, who you can see on the top right here, and his wife. And as well as being able to spend the night in their retreat, you can also join them for workshops, which is what we did while we were there. So we joined them for a chaga mushroom workshop. So a chaga mushroom is this funny black growth you can see on this birch tree here, and they have loads of kind of health benefits. So we went out, saw them growing on the trees, and they take, you know, years and years and years to get to the size that this one is here. And after that, we chopped it all up and learned how to make chaga tea, which we kind of drank while immersed in this lovely natural environment. We also went foraging while we were there as well, and, you know, collected all kinds of fresh ingredients off the forest floor, which were then made into a delicious salad that we enjoyed for lunch. And while we were having lunch, I was speaking to Birgit, and she was telling me how, you know, foraging was very much a part of her life. She spent her summers when she was a child in the countryside with her grandparents, and they would go out foraging every day and come back and use those ingredients to make their meals. So I think that's really interesting that we tend to think of, you know, local flavor, fresh produce as a kind of a new on-trend thing. But I think one of the reasons the food is so special in Estonia is it's really something that goes back generations, and is really part of the culture. But my time in Estonia's nature didn't end there. So after Pilapalu, we made our way to Lahama National Park for a bit of bog walking, because what would a trip to Estonia be without a little bit of bog walking? So this one is called the Very Bog. It's probably one of the most accessible bogs in all of Estonia. And you can follow this beautiful trail. So it's 3.5 kilometers long trail, or 6 kilometers if you want to do it as a whole loop. And you've got this lovely boardwalk as well, where there is an observation tower. The observation tower is wheelchair accessible, which is great. So you can go up there and get this lovely view, bird's eye view above the bog, which really is extraordinary because it's so flat, the land, so it just seems to go on forever, this kind of line of trees with the kind of marshland beneath that as well. So definitely a great place to go if you want a quick escape into nature, really close to the capital, so you don't have to go far to seek that out. So from there, we headed to Nîmes Harbour, where we had dinner at Restaurant Roux. So this is another restaurant that was recommended in the Michelin Guide. And it's a seafood restaurant, which pairs so nicely with its gorgeous coastal views. So would definitely recommend checking out that restaurant if you're ever in the area. And this restaurant was also incredibly close to a place where I spent probably one of the best night sleeps of my entire life. So near here is the Ood Hotel at Laharena. And yeah, look at it. It's just, it's incredible. It still blows my mind now. So all of the walls in the hotel room are made of glass. And what it does, it creates this incredible illusion where from some angles, you can't even tell they're there because they're reflecting back this pine forest so well. And it really offers this incredible escape into nature. They really, encourage you to get away from the outside world, and you can go on walking trails through the lovely pine forest. It's right on the beach as well. So I had a lovely walk on the beach at sunset and watched the sun come down over there. And it's also very close to the Chaga waterfall, so a great place to come and just be surrounded by nature. You've got your own kind of barbecue terrace and there, so you can kind of have your own al fresco meal and get back to nature in every sense. So yeah, this is the view I woke up to in the morning and thought I was literally still dreaming as I was having that cup of coffee. And it's so peaceful. All you can see is the forest. All you can hear is the birds outside of the room. And as if that wasn't enough, each of these rooms also comes with its own private sauna. So like the room itself, these have all glass walls on all sides, so you can just sit in the sauna and look out at this incredible natural landscape. And I think, that final morning I had there must have been the most rejuvenating, relaxing and magical ending I've ever had to any trip. So so that's a great way to end your time in Estonia. But I will leave you back with Lynn now.
Thanks, Rosie. Oh. I've definitely got to go to Estonia one day. I mean, good grief. And I'm sure we'll hear a bit more about food later as well in the Q&A. But I will say that probably the best vegetarian meal I had last year was Estonian. And I was fortunate enough to be at an event in London where they served Estonian food, and it was just so amazing. Brilliant. Now, I know we've already had a question, for instance, about the foraging. Is that something that anybody can go and do? Can that be arranged?
Yes. So I can send the details in the follow-up email of that there, but it's called the Pilapalu Forest Retreat. Robin and his wife are lovely. So Robin's actually British, and he went to Estonia and fell in love with it and decided to stay there. So they do kind of group activities, but if you get in touch with them and you've got a small group, they'll be more than happy to host you there for a workshop, either the Chaga experience or the foraging, or a little bit of both.
Yeah. Okay, and what was sorry to put you on the spot, but what do you think was the biggest surprise for you in Estonia? It was your first visit. I know you researched it before you went, but what was the biggest surprise for you?
I think I mean, the food, everyone kept telling me the food was amazing. So I was expecting that in a way, but it really was really incredible. But I guess when I picture Tallinn in particular in my head, it is that incredible old town, which, you know, is UNESCO listed for a reason. It's popular for a reason, but all these creative neighborhoods, and there's more that I didn't mention as well, are just extraordinary. And the energy that I got from these places, and it's super young as well. The people you meet there, the chefs you meet. I mean, one chef I met was, I think, 23, and she was training to be a journalist, and she was working at this kind of Michelin recommended restaurant at the same time, a head chef there. So there's this kind of super ambitious, super energetic, and super enthusiastic energy you get from these neighborhoods. And they're brilliant for a look around and just to sit and take your time and soak up that creative energy. That's what surprised me the most.
Okay, brilliant. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, we'll see you back for the Q&A, where there'll be plenty more questions for you. So thanks so much, Rosie. Right, sorry, I've got to have a cough. I've got a tickly throat. It's not COVID. I've had a test, but I have unfortunately got bad throat tonight. So let's hope it hangs out. Okay, well, I think you all saw Rosie's enthusiasm and for Estonia just on that visit. So very, very addictive. But anyway, she finished off talking about the nature. And of course, it is a big part of Estonia, and it does seem to be so ingrained in the culture there. So I'm delighted to welcome back Sander Loite, who is going to tell us more, therefore, about the nature and the wildlife and the environment of Estonia. So thank you, Sandra. I'm going to leave you to it.
Yeah, hello, everybody. And thank you, Lynn. It's lovely to be with you here, Wanderlust people. I'm a TV broadcaster. I'm a biologist and also science communicator. So first of all, let me show you a little video clip of what I'm doing as a TV presenter. So video 1, please. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. It was in Estonian, though you might have heard, but it told that it's the only TV program that produces Estonian nature, let's say, program and the stuff that comes from there. But during my duty, during my work, I've traveled the world and many exciting places, and then of course. I've crossed the regions in Estonia countless times. Having seen some of the varieties that our planet has to offer, I'm confident to say that Estonia has its own clear magic and advantages over many other very lovely places. And I guess travelers or explorers will notice it quite shortly when they visit Estonia. So I start with showing that actually, this is, I don't know, maybe someone has an idea, but this shot is taken last autumn in not very far away from Glasgow, actually. So it's there Loch Lomond, and it's also Ben Lomond. I wonder if somebody of you has been there already. I guess many of you maybe. And also this is, as we heard about, that Estonia has some nice ice during winters. We do have sea ice, and we can, if it gets thick enough, you can even drive a car if it's allowed. But then, of course, you can use other devices, other, let's say, boats or something close to them to travel on ice. And maybe you can see and go seal watching, for example. This is also an igloo that me and my friend built in Estonia during the winter. We have lots of snow, at least in these recent 3 years we have had. So you can even do some igloo building and spend the night in winter outside. But what I'll do as we were hearing that Estonia has plenty of very good restaurants that offer very good food, I will offer you some ingredients about Estonian nature. And what I mean by ingredients is that I'm not telling you any kind of, let's say, recipe. I'm more open. I offer you ingredients and you can mix them up however you like, or even have them time to time, one by one, just as you would like to taste them. My first ingredient is Alutaguse, which is Alutaguse Rahvuspark, and it's the youngest of Estonian national parks. It's situated in northeast of Estonia. And what's lovely over there, some might say that it's the one place you can find the densest old forests, and also it's the border of Asian and European nature that runs from here. And Siberian flying squirrels and brown bears live here practically hand in hand, or paw in paw, you might say. So this is a Siberian flying squirrel. And actually, like 2 weeks ago, I was filming them, a proper family of them. It was a mother and 4 youngsters, already showing some capabilities of flying. And this is a brown bear over here. And what I would do if I go to Alutaguse National Park, I would definitely try and book a bear hide to see how these big creatures communicate to each other, for example, and how they live. This is a pleasant view and one thing to do. Another thing is Lahama National Park. I think that Rosie already mentioned it. She said Lahama or something. Maybe I missed it, but it sounds great anyway. This is a place where to go just to take some time off, whether you have a camper van, for example, or if you have bikes, go and take your bike along, or you can rent a bike there and do some nice traveling. There are some hiking routes, not some, there are many of very good hiking routes that take you over these meadows, even from through these thick forests, and also you can walk along the coast, and even during or cross some rivers there. So just so diverse place to go and visit. But there's a manor house there, and there are also people who are in fond of or who like architecture. Then this is place where to go, Lahama National Park, because they have beautiful refurbished and renovated manor houses. And for the next one, for the next ingredient is lake papers. It's the 4th biggest lake in Europe, and I would say that Peipsi, Lake Peipus has the longest swimming beach. It's 30 kilometers. Imagine a lake. Yeah, you have longer lakes, of course. I can't really brag about it right now, but yeah, you should go there. And it's also the place where to see these people who are called old believers. They grow so special onions that they make also these little pies, which taste really, really good. And they also go fishing, and you can buy like smoked fish, fresh fish. And what I would do, if I have a chance, I would bring my bike along, or rent a bike. Or if I have a car, or if I rent a car, then I just go along the shore and see these lovely villages, what people do there, and the nature that's really pleasant there. For the next one, I would like to show you. Yeah, this is also a picture from Lake Peipus. People are walking during the summer in the lake. It's nice. Next one is Alampedja, which is the largest nature reserve in Estonia. And for that, I would do a short introduction. You can see a girl and a boy. They're having a canoe and riding along the river. I would like to show you a video, what happened to me while I was just trying to film a feature about fisheries. on a river in Alampedja. And please, let's show the video, and I'll tell you the story later on. Yes, so this is what happens when you go and try to film a completely different show. And it happens to be, for example, May, spring in Estonia, when brown bears have mating season. And all of a sudden, we ended up in a wedding of brown bears. So this was actually a male and a female wrestling a bit, but this is how their wedding looks like. And so we were so sorry to be there. But we didn't have any other chance to film it as well. So sorry for them, but this is something that really can happen. And brown bear numbers have gone the highest in recent, let's say, 100 years, or as far as we have recorded them. So a pretty great chance to see brown bears if you come over to Estonia and if you have some nature guides. And I guess Estonia has some really lovely people who are very happy to fill you in with these creatures. But of course, you can also, while traveling in Alampedja, you can also see lynx, for example, or wolves. So we have all these three predators, lynx, wolves, and also brown bear in Estonia. And you well enough, you can see them if you have some time, and if you plan your time, and if you get in contact with nature guides. Next one, fifth ingredient for you is Haanja, which is, we call it uplands. So we don't have mountains like UK has, but we do have some hills, and you can wander and kind of try to imagine how 10,000 years ago the continental ice was slowly drifting away, pushing some hills there. So these hills, the biggest hills, ended up in South Estonia, in Haanja. And you can see lovely sand canyons there. Yes, in Estonia we have sand canyons. And deep, I guess the deepest lake also is in this region. It's maybe compared to yours that you have are not that deep, but still 38 meters. So really dense, nice forests, lakes, and hills, hilly lands. What I would do if I have some friends who are into trekking, for example, I would go trekking and try to have the highest peaks of Estonia in Haanja. Let's see. Yeah, Soomaa. As Rosie told that you can't really come to Estonia if you don't visit bogs, then of course an option is to go to Lahama, which is the kind of the closest really nice nature close to Tallinn, our capital. But also you can go towards Viljandimaa or Viljandi County and to Pärnumaa, Pärnu County, where Soomaa National Park is situated. And you can do there bog shoeing. You can see like local birds there, of course, mammals, take pictures of them. And I tell you one secret. In Soomaa National Park, we do have, let's say, the strongest packs of grey wolves in Estonia. And we're lucky enough because the numbers of wolves have also gone up. So we are really happy to live with these nice creatures all together. And just happy to tell that now you have a chance, if you haven't visited Estonia and you want to see the nature, you have the chance to see these creatures as well. So yeah, bog shoeing, whether it's a smaller group or a bigger group, it's really doable during just one day. You don't have to have loads of time. Book a place and you can do it. Then moving on to our west coast, Of course, Estonia has really long coastline compared to the country size, but there are different nice places where to go. I picked West Coast. There is Pärnu County, and also Läänemaa, Lääne County. And you can do bird watching, or you can just wander around there in these big empty fields. Kind of, it gives you a certain feeling that it might be kind of empty fields, but it's peace and kind of living in a peace. And during springtime and in autumn, there are masses of migratory birds in these areas. For example, in Matsalu Rahvuspark, Matsalu National Park, there are, even in my own with my own eyes, I've seen in spring tens and tens thousands of geese, for example. And these are really great times, during the spring, especially in April and in May. I would say that I would pick like the end of April if I want to go and see the massive migration of birds, or in autumn, in October, in the beginning of October, if you're fond of filming or taking pictures of birds. Then, of course, you can enjoy fishing culture in coastal Estonia. And also, I mentioned Lake Peipus before, which is also a great place to do the coastal fishing, or go along with fishermen on the sea, or just buy fish from them. Some places also offer fresh fish, and they serve food. They prepare food for you as well, I guess. This is a old fisherman there, and they are doing and having nice catch. I'm not sure if during this time the waters are maybe slightly too hot or too warm right now, but best times are usually in spring or in autumn. But I guess it doesn't make any difference. You can also do fishing, for example, angling during the summer, or in rivers or in lakes as well. Yeah, and moving on to my last ingredients, which are Western Islands. The biggest one of them is Saaremaa. There is also Hiiumaa, really lovely places, special people, really friendly people living there, and actually people from Scandinavia, for example, from Finland or from Sweden or even from Norway, have bought themselves summer houses, cottages to these islands, just to spend their summers there, because it's extremely beautiful, the nature, and how mankind is kind of living together there with nature for centuries and centuries. So this is definitely one place to go. And if you have a boat, I wonder if you can sail all the way from the UK. You can do it if you're a really hard sailor. But you can also rent a boat or a kayaki, for example. This is something that my friends do. They have these kayakis, or you can rent a kayaki or a canoe. And as the sea there is quite shallow, you just can wander around on the sea, or take, let's say, a bigger boat to a smaller island. So ferries also go there. You can ask for a journey from a local businessman to do this journey for you with his or her boat. So different options to visit these islands. And for the last slide, I've put down the spots or the ingredients that I mentioned. I started from Alutaguse National Park, which is in northeastern Estonia, then moved on to Laharena National Park. You can see Lake Peipus there. Then Alambedja Nature Reserve, Haanja Upland down there, and Soomaa National Park, Estonian West Coast in the left, and the Western Islands. But of course, there are plenty more lovely places to visit in Estonia, so you are all very welcome over here.
Hey, thank you so much, Sander. That was ace. I mean, oh gosh, I learned so much. And I want you to do it all again, in fact. That was wonderful. And in fact, it just reminded me, because we mentioned your TV program at the start that you're the presenter of. Is there any way we can access that in the rest of the world? How do we find it?
Yeah, I guess you can. Well, you have BBC. You have this, I'd say, BBC Play or iPlay or something
iPlay,
similar. Yeah. So we have similar thing. I'm not sure if it does have some geo blocking. I wouldn't say. At the time that I used to study in London, I watched Estonian TV online. So rough guess is right now that I put a link over in this chat. And you can check if you can watch it online. Another option is to visit us on the same page, basically, but just like re-watch it later on. An option is to kind of be on air as it goes as well. So I would say yes, and I'll provide you a link.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier on as well in this evening, we will be sending out a follow-up email, which will put useful information and links in as well. So we'll try and get something in that, because I'm sure a lot of people would love to know more and be able to see the programme. And there's been lots of questions coming in, so I will invite everybody back for the Q&A in a moment. But I was fascinated when you showed, for instance, lynx and wolves, and because they are so hard to see anywhere in the world, let alone Europe. And is it possible? Have you seen lynx and wolves out in the wild?
Yes, as I showed you the video actually with brown bears, this is as it happened. We were filming like a fisheries research trip to see how the small rivers have recovered. We were about to kind of take out the fish nets, and then all of a sudden we saw, okay, these might be wild boars. No, they're not. As they stood up, we found out it's proper brown bear, and there's another one. And these guys, or the girl and the boy, were wrestling, and they had the mating season. And I've also seen, wolves. One time is during a hunt. We were filming a hunt also, and from further away, because in some places, mostly wolves are really, really cautious mammals. But in certain places, as I mentioned, Soomaa Rahvuspark, there are people who know how to follow the wolf tracks, for example, on bog paths. You can take these bog shoes, and I might say, I hope that I don't offer too much, but this is what I've done. I had this one of the nature guides, and we followed with bog shoes the wolf tracks, and you could see them further away.
Oh, wow. Oh, gosh, that would be amazing. How fantastic. Okay, well, you stay right there, but let's welcome back Rosie and also Jala and Kadri from Visit Estonia, who I know have been very busy in the Q&A box tonight. So thank you so much to both of you. And brilliant to have you back here. And we've had a lot of questions in. So I think let's kick it off. Actually, let's just... I hate to start on a serious note, but there is obviously a couple of people did ask about Russia being just across the border. So do you mind, Kadri or Jana, just saying something very quickly about that situation, very quickly, or about where people can get information?
Yes, hello everyone. It's so nice to see all the questions. I hope we did try to answer many of them. So hopefully we got some answers or questions answered. But regarding the Ukraine invasion, then I sent also a link to the chat. So please look it through, because it says very nicely about the current situation. And the current situation is that we don't have any war or military threat in Estonia. You don't see any soldiers walking around. It's very, very normal here. It's what we can say, it's safe here at the moment. And of course, as we are in NATO, we are in European Union. So yes, the situation is, I would like to say, very, very okay, very normal, very safe at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Maybe what is important also to know is that actually, yes, of course, in the beginning, we were really worried as well, to be honest, yes, of course. But what we see actually that travelers are back in Estonia. Tallinn is full of tourists. And yes, for us, of course, it's a good news because tourists are back here and we are really happy to see them. Yeah. So yes, hopefully we are able to change your mind as well and come see us soon.
Absolutely. And just a question from me, actually, is, we saw a map in Sandra's talk, we saw a map in Rosie's talk. I'm not quite sure of the distances involved. Can somebody give me an idea of, say if I've got a week there, and going to be in Tallinn. But if I want to get out into the areas that Sandra's talked about, if I want to go to the Western Islands or whatever, I mean, how big is Estonia and how much time would it take to go to some of these places?
Yeah, well,
I can take that.
I can start and say the first maybe indication is that if you take Tallinn, which is our capital, and you take the most southern city in Estonia, which is Võru, and it takes 3 hours drive from or 3:30 around that to go from one place to another, and this is the longest trip if you want to take. So if you go to the islands, then the ferry ride also is there. So it takes like from Tallinn to Kuressaare, which is the biggest island, and the capital of Kuressaare is 2 hours to the ferry, then ferry ride 20 minutes, and then another hour to Kuressaare. So it maybe rounds up how far everything is or how close everything is.
So basically it's 2 and 3 hours to get basically everywhere. Yes.
Yeah.
But as the ambassador said, so it's like 30 minutes to get in the nature. And we like to say that as Estonia is full of nature and forests and bogs, then in every 15 kilometers you can find a bog in Estonia.
I'm going to come back to you about bogs because we've had a question, funny enough, about bogs. So we want to know more about bogs. But first of all, Sandra, somebody asked, I mean, we know there are bear tours, and I think there is a link in the chat box, but also we'll make sure that's in the follow-up email. But somebody has asked, are there wolf tours? Do you know if there are actual wolf tours? I mean, there are people who track them, but yeah, do you know that somebody could go out and book to go on a wolf tour to look for them?
Yeah, as with nature is, I would say that nothing is like offered, let's say, like 100%. But yeah, there are people, and one of them actually, who's a nature guide. She actually is not far from Tallinn, from our capital, and I know, as far as I know, that she has a wolf pack over there, which she kind of tracks. But to offer that while you are on the tracks and you're gonna see them, end up seeing them, like I wouldn't say that she will tell, oh yeah, 100% sure you're gonna see them. But well, it's a worth of a go, I guess, if you're not too unhappy later on without seeing. But yeah. You can have tracks of them and have a fair chance to see them as well.
Yeah, sure. Okay, good to know. So Rosie, what about solo travel there? I mean, how did you feel going as a visitor? And would it be suitable to go as a solo traveller? Would you go completely on your own?
Yes, definitely. It all feels very, very safe. People there are very friendly and approachable. Everyone's kind of happy to help out. Had loads of great conversations in the taxis. The taxi service is super easy to use as well. And then they don't use Uber there. They actually use Bolt. But yeah, as a female solo traveller, no problems at all. I felt completely safe everywhere. And I think another thing worth pointing out is obviously I went in May and the days are super long and the sun doesn't set for ages. So you've just got these gorgeous long evenings. I mean, one night I sat and waited for the sun to go down and almost gave up on it because it just takes so long. So I think you've got the light there as well, so there's no kind of walking home in the dark. But even if you are, I'm sure you'd be fine. Everywhere feels super safe and friendly, and yeah, no problems at all from that.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, Jenna and Kadri, obviously, I think one of the very first questions we got, predictably, was when's best to go. So I don't know if you can fill us in a bit about that. And also, what are the white nights? Because that's been mentioned in the chat box. What exactly are the white nights?
I'm glad that Rosie also brought it up because she almost experienced it in May. But right now, last Thursday, we had the famous Midsummer night celebration, which is the most light, like the day that doesn't go dark. So you have 24 hours of daylight, basically. So when the time that sun sets, it already comes lighter. So the dark part is like it doesn't have any. So it's always light. So it's very nice at the moment. So yeah, you can explore much more because you have so much daylight. You can do whatever you like in 24 hours.
Okay, brilliant. Well, that sounds a fantastic time to go. But presumably as well, I mean, I should imagine then spring and autumn would be really good. I mean, Sander touched on that, talking about the wildlife and the birds, for instance. So Sander, yeah, for somebody for a nature experience, would you recommend? What season would you recommend?
I would personally, because it's my personal favorite, is spring, most definitely. But this is me.
Okay. So is that when people can see a lot?
Yes, of course. I mean, just slightly over or even sometimes crossing over or overlapping is where the migratory birds migrate. But also some of them start nesting. For example, big predator birds in Estonia. You can see like hawks or owls or eagles who start already nesting then. And these big migratory flocks of birds are also going around. I love these sounds. I love the nature and the looks of it during the spring especially. But of course, for example, my father enjoys autumn always.
Okay, I can imagine that's really beautiful, particularly with all those trees as well. But Jenna and Kadri, moving on quickly because we've got something to go through. Getting there, which airlines from the UK? And also, I'm conscious we've had quite a few people from North America on today as well. So how can we get there direct from the UK? And how would somebody from the US get there? Would they have to come via somewhere in Europe, such as the UK?
Yeah, I can take this. So yeah, from London, you can get directly with Baltic and also Ryanair. But very convenient connections actually are via Helsinki. And many people and the travelers use this connection. And the same goes for travelers from US. So yes, the connections, the big thing there is the airline company, and usually the connections are handled so that the time between the flights is really not too long, and the flight from Helsinki to Tallinn is 30 minutes approximately. Yes, of course, direct flights are always more convenient, for sure. But if you are looking for more connections and opportunities, then you can always check flights via Helsinki as well, for example.
Via Helsinki, of course, yes. That would make sense. Thank you. And then also, we've had questions about the cost of living and the currency. What is the currency?
Yes, good question. Yes, of course, we are using euro from 2011 already. So maybe, yes, there is a difference from travelers from UK, but from many European countries, travelers' currency is the same.
Yeah, okay. And about the cost of living, because I think some people are not sure if you might be Scandinavian prices or more
that's a good news still, especially for travelers, that the cost of living is, we can't exactly compare it with Scandinavian. So it's much lower. Yes, as a traveler, you can still have an affordable trip to Estonia, enjoying our lovely restaurants and the prices in the restaurant, for example.
Oh, that's good to know. Just before I move on, by the way, because I know some people are having to leave because we have overrun a bit. So just to reiterate to anybody who does have to leave this evening that we will obviously send out that follow-up email with the recording in. But yeah, so Rosie, just very quickly, how did you find the cost of living there? How would you describe it?
Yeah, definitely. Very, what you'd expect here. I wasn't at all shocked or by the prices. And then worth pointing out as well, that restaurant I went to, Lord Bistro, is a Bib Gourmand awarded restaurant. So that was actually awarded for its great food at great prices. So if you want that kind of Michelin experience without the price tag, that's definitely a place to go. Although the waiter did joke to me when I went the day after they won the award that he was adding a zero onto the end of every prices. But we had a big kind of taster meal there, and I think it was €40 each, and you got all that food, like multiple desserts, starters, mains. So yeah, definitely, it's good prices.
Okay, that's really good to know. So, question about the language as well. So can one of you say something about the Estonian language? Because I've heard it's quite a different route to other European languages. Who wants to take that?
Yeah, we love to joke about it, that it's like a tribe language. Less than 1 million people actually speak Estonian only, but the language itself belongs to Finno-Ugri language group. And so there are Finns talking very similar, and it's also in Hungary.
Okay. Oh, intriguing. Right. So, yeah, that sounds a reason in its own for us to want to know more. Fantastic. Right. I don't know who wants to talk very quickly about bogs, but bogs have been mentioned a lot tonight. I don't know if you want to say something, Sandra, but yeah, we had 1 or 2 people ask about bogs. Is there anything we need to know about bogs, or the different grades of bogs? How do you access them?
The good thing is that many of these, let's say, famous bogs, but there are plenty of them which are already been made famous by Estonian people, because during the COVID times, people of Estonia started to travel around Estonia as well. So they have special tracks, wooden tracks, which have been made especially for people to visit, so that they don't scratch or just let's say ruin places in these bogs. So yeah, we have nice tracks in these bogs, so you have plenty of options to do that really safely. And if you want to do bog shoeing, this is also welcome, but I would recommend, if you come for the first time, just book a guide. It's fairly more easy for you. But if you're a really already experienced traveler or experienced explorer, then take your own bog shoes and go on.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Rosie, just go back to money for a moment, because somebody asked, is it cashless? I mean, did you take cash with you, or did you find that everything's on the card?
Very easy to use your card there. Yeah, book taxis online, pay for taxis with a card. Yeah, so very card friendly. So I wouldn't worry too much about cash.
Okay, terrific. And Kadri and Jana, do you want to tell us very quickly about trains? Is it possible to get around by train?
Yes, it's also public transportations are very easily within the main cities. So Katie also from Visit Estonia sent a few links. So you can also book your flights via online. You can go to the main cities and, explore the Estonia with trains. So yes, it's very easy, and the sites are in English, so no worries about the language. Even though we speak this mysterious language, still everything is also in English. So
Okay, brilliant. Right, we've had a couple of questions asking about how safe the forests are. And I think people are probably asking this because of the bears, obviously. So, Sander, do you want to say something first about that?
First of all, I would like to say you must be happy if you see a bear, a brown bear. And yeah, keep a distance. Just give some respect and enjoy the views, I would say. And this is actually what Estonian hunters or biologists also tell our local people who are maybe they have lost the knowledge about the wildlife. In some places we do like that as well. So this is a recommendation. Just if you see, keep the distance. Don't go any closer to get better pictures with your smartphone. Don't be silly like that. So keep the distance about, let's say, 60 meters. You remember at school probably we had to do this 60-meter sprint. So don't try and run away from a bear, but keep the distance, at least 60 meters, and enjoy and stay there. Take some pictures if you have a DSLR, for example. Yeah, don't go any closer. But our forests are safe. We don't have big snakes or poisonous snakes like that. And all these big mammals, bears, lynx, and wolves, they are not a threat to people. They know how to, that we are the biggest enemy of all this nature. Anyway, so they are, if you keep the distance, and if it's like a mother bear with the cubs during the spring, then I would say, yeah, we don't have any big attacks or no kills by bears. So it's fairly easy and safe to go to the forests, definitely. And if you're afraid, then yeah, you have nature guides who will help you with this and give you the first taste.
Exactly. We always recommend at Wanderlust to use guides in a country because you're going to get so much more out of the experience anyway. Thank you. Does anybody want to add anything to that about walking in the forest or anything?
Yeah, maybe one fun fact, you know, when one nature expert once told me that that if you meet a bear or you see a bear, then start reading a poem, because it's the sound that you make when you read a poem. It's very calming, so you don't scare them or you know, make any they don't think that you are attacking them. So everyone just remember one poem if you go to the forest.
I have never heard that before. That's amazing. Oh gosh. You see, you always learn something that you don't expect on these things. Right. I think there's a few questions we didn't get to, frustratingly, but I'm very conscious of the time. So any other questions as well, we may try and add those to the follow-up email and make sure that we get everything in there. But I think we've covered so much ground, so it's sad to wind up when I know there's been so much interest. So in a moment, I'm going to be thanking our speakers who have been absolutely terrific tonight. So much knowledge. It's been good to see so many questions come in. So before we do go, though, I'm going to ask each of you, what, if you were going to recommend it to somebody who's going to Estonia for the first time, what would be the one thing that they should experience, that they should do, they should see? What would it be? So I'm going to start with you, Rosie. What would you say?
It's so hard to name just one because the whole place is just so brilliant, but definitely Telliskivi Creative City has something really, really special about it. And then finishing that lovely Ood Hotel in Laharena as well is just a magical ending. So that's two, sorry.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. Okay. Yeah, Jenna and Katri, each of you, what would it be?
Well, maybe I can start. And I know that we have talked so much about food, but as I'm a really true believer of Estonian food and restaurants, then my suggestion is come and have a look and taste the great experience you will get. So I don't name one restaurant. As you heard, we have 31 in Michelin, but that's not it. We have very many other restaurants, like, for example, home restaurants, which are so-called, you know, they can be in very secluded place in the nature, and you don't have a specific menu, so everything they will prepare, it's out of the nature and forest that they will get and prepare the meal out of these ingredients. So it's amazing. You never know what you're going to get, but it's always amazing. And second thing is, as I'm from southern Estonia, so my love and heart is there. So if you have more time, go to south of Estonia.
Oh, okay.
And yes, I would add also mine. So we didn't speak about saunas at all, and I would very much recommend to try smoke sauna when in Estonia. So smoke sauna is the oldest traditional sauna, and you can still really experience this in for example, in South Estonia. And we do have a sauna that has listed also in UNESCO list. If you go to South Estonia, to the special smoke sauna, then there is a sauna lady who will carry like 3-4 hour sauna treatments. And the difference is, just very briefly, that there is no chimney. So they heat the sauna like 3-4 hours before, sometimes even longer. And before, of course, you go inside, they let the smoke outside. But if you go there, you can really feel the smoky smell and air, and the heat is not too strong, so you can really enjoy this different experience.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, that just sounds amazing. I'm not, even I'll try that. So very quickly to other people who joined right at the start, and the ambassador was on. The original plan was that he was going to be at a sauna, and unfortunately, for technical reasons, it didn't happen. But but no, I'm really intrigued now to know more about saunas. Okay, now, last but not least, Sander, what would be your recommendation?
I would go fishing and for a seal trip in West Coast or in Saaremaa and these islands. And I also picked second one. This is go to a bear hide and learn a poem by heart, and with really calm voice like that. No problem at all. Enjoy the views.
That's incredible. Yes, the Western Islands, which I didn't know about before, but it sounded incredible. And also, of course, the bear hide, and yes, and a poem. What a fantastic way to end. Well, thank you so much. And I see we're getting some great thank yous in the chat box as well. So thank you to all our audience tonight. And we will be sending out that follow-up. And thank you for your questions. It's been brilliant. And thank you to our amazing speakers tonight. The ambassador who for his welcome. To Jana, to Kadri, to Rosie, of course, and also to Sander. Thank you so much for all that insight. You've inspired us all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Good night, everybody. Yeah, see you in Estonia.